Welcome back to another episode of the What We're Watching podcast. I'm Megan.
And I'm Jeni, and today we're talking about Casper.
Our last Halloween episode.
I'm kind of sad.
I'm sad too.
But this is such a good one to end on.
I know. And this was so highly requested by you guys. We didn't even have this on our radar. And then everyone came out of the woodworks and messaged us and said this was their favorite Halloween movie, so thanks.
Yeah, this one and When Casper Meets Wendy, and because this one came first, we did this one.
So maybe next year we'll do When Casper Meets Wendy.
I know our Hilary Duff fans will be very happy about that.
Yeah.
But we gotta save Hilary Duff, you know? We've done like every other movie that she's been in.
I know, we have to space everything else out. If you guys are in the spooky mood and you want to binge more of our Halloween episodes, I just wanted to list off the ones that we did last year so you can go back and find them if you haven't listened. We did Twilight, Hocus Pocus, Halloween Town, Jennifer's Body, and The Vampire Diaries.
Yay, I didn't remember that Vampire Diaries was part of it.
I think it was November 1st that we posted it, so it just scooched away.
It fits the vibe.
It does.
Did you have a favorite of any of those?
I think my two favorites were Hocus Pocus and Halloween Town, because I don't think I had ever seen Hocus Pocus, or I remember being scared of it as a kid or something. And now I love it, so it was really fun to watch that again. And then Halloween Town, I remember us having a lot of fun facts and behind-the-scenes info, and that one is so nostalgic for me.
And I think we recorded those in person, too. We
Yeah.
used to record in person every single episode. And then we realized it was easier to just do it virtually.
Yeah, even when we did Jennifer's Body, we had our first guest, Shannon from Fluently Forward, came on, and she came over to my apartment, and we all did it together in Denver. It was really fun.
It was so much fun. I think my favorite episode of all of these was the Twilight one, because I remember we were just laughing the entire time. And I still think it's really funny when I think about Edward's brain and if he's 100 or 17.
Yeah.
Well, happy Halloween, guys.
Quick reminder, if you've been enjoying the pod, to leave us a review wherever you're listening.
We really appreciate all of your reviews. Thank you.
Okay, so the log line for this movie is, Casper is a kind young ghost who peacefully haunts a mansion in Maine. When specialist James Harvey arrives to communicate with Casper and his fellow spirits, he brings along his teenage daughter, Kat. Casper quickly falls in love with Kat, but their budding relationship is complicated not only by his transparent state, but also by his troublemaking apparition uncles and their mischievous antics.
I did not remember that this movie had anything to do with Casper falling in love.
Me too. This is the biggest surprise. Watching it, I was like, oh, I don't know how I feel about this, like being so romance-oriented. It was kind of funny.
It's like Edward in Twilight. Like, is he 100? Is he a 12-year-old boy?
No, Casper's 12.
He's definitely 12. I also don't know if I've ever seen this movie. I definitely remember Casper, and I remember his uncles. And I remember loving Casper as a kid, but I'm wondering if I had seen When Casper Meets Wendy instead of I don't know, because I just didn't really remember any of the plot of this.
I had the same thought. I think this is a Bring It On situation, where we were like, oh yeah, we know Bring It On, but really we knew Bring It On All or Nothing and not the original. I think that's the case here.
I think so too, or I was just so little when I watched this that there was no way I even retained any of the plot. But I don't know. Yeah.
Same.
But I enjoyed the rewatch, so thanks for recommending it, guys. This movie came out on Memorial Day weekend in 1995. And for those who are not in the US, that's in May, not October. And I just thought that was kind of weird.
That's so weird. I think that's when Hocus Pocus came out, too. I think it came out sometime in the summer. Which, why? I guess so that people have enough time to watch it, but...
Wait, didn't the Haunted Mansion remake come out in the summertime last year?
Yes, this is a theme.
Well, my reasoning for that was it's in theaters now so that by October it's on streaming. But what's the reasoning here? So it's on VHS by October?
I guess, so people can buy it and they can do a big advertising push in stores for Halloween, I guess. But you would think that they would want to hype it up like Halloween weekend for it to come out. Or at least Labor Day in September.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Weird.
If any of you guys work in the film business or like the film advertising business, please let us know if you know.
The movie Casper is based on the Harvey Comics cartoon character Casper the Friendly Ghost, and it's the first feature film to have a fully CGI character in the lead role.
Wow.
I know.
Bravo. This is a good one. The CGI of the ghost in this movie did not make me cringe. I actually thought it was so cute.
No, it was fine. I think because they were animated and everyone else wasn't, I think it worked because I wasn't trying to believe that it was real, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
It wasn't cringy at all. Steven Spielberg was the executive producer, and he recruited Brad Silberling to direct the movie. Silberling also directed A Series of Unfortunate Events, the Jim Carrey version, and City of Angels starring Meg Ryan and Nicolas Cage. So I thought that was kind of interesting that Casper was his start, because I think City of Angels was after Casper. He's also been the executive producer for a ton of stuff since, like Dash and Lily and Jane the Virgin.
I love Jane the Virgin.
And apparently, J.J. Abrams did an uncredited rewrite of the script.
Oh, interesting. Wow, so there was just a bunch of people involved in this. Very cool.
I had no idea. I can't unsee this fact now. The Backstreet Boys filmed the music video for Everybody in the same mansion that they use in the Casper film.
I have to go watch it now. Immediately.
Honestly, maybe you should take 1 second and look at it because you will not be able to unsee it. I looked it up and I was like, are you kidding me? Backstreet's back, all right.
Now that song's going to be stuck in my head all night. Oh my God. Just Googling it, guys, the little clip from YouTube that comes up in the Google search is the spiral floor that's like the main room in the mansion. Wow, so there's a mansion that looks like this all year round. That's what you're telling me?
I think so.
Wow. Yeah, it looks the exact same. This like purple spiral floor. That's wild. That's so funny.
I know.
Okay, should we jump into the cast?
Let's do it.
Starting with Christina Ricci, who plays Kat.
She is our Halloween queen. She's in every spooky movie from this era.
She really is.
You know her from The Addams Family, Sleepy Hollow, Mermaids, Pan Am, which I'm so sad they canceled. I remember loving that show. Ally McBeal and Yellow Jackets. I think most people know her as Wednesday Addams, and she's also in Netflix's Wednesday as Marilyn Thornhill, the teacher.
I didn't realize that that's who she was until I finished watching the first season of Wednesday and just lost my mind.
It's such a fun little cameo, fun fact, I think.
Definitely.
I found this quote from her about Netflix's Wednesday. She said, "I knew there would be comparison between the old Addams Family movies and Wednesday. That's a natural inclination. But the who was a better Wednesday thing is unreal. I loved being Wednesday. I'm very proud of that role. But I also think Jenna Ortega is amazing. She is so brave, so cool, and really doing the part justice. Wednesday is her part now."
That's a very generous thing to say. Just very gracious to say, I loved it. It was really important to me. And I'm very proud of the performance I did, but now it's not mine anymore. That's really cool. And I agree. I think they are both equally as great as Wednesday.
Yeah, I thought that was really sweet of her. And also it just makes sense because I think it's so weird when people turn on the new cast member. This is going to happen with the new Harry Potter series. I know it for sure.
For sure.
And that one's kind of different because those are kids, I believe. That one, I really feel like you should not compare their performance to Daniel Radcliffe and everybody else. It's a new project.
Yeah.
Christina Ricci was discovered at 8 years old when she starred in a school production of The 12 Days of Christmas. And apparently another kid was cast in the part, and she devised this whole plan to steal the role from him. And she taunted him so much that he punched her. And then she told on him, and he lost the part.
That's very Wednesday Addams.
It's very devious.
Yeah.
When she was a kid, she did a bunch of spoof commercials on SNL. And then her film debut was in Mermaids in 1990. And then she did The Addams Family soon after that. And apparently Spielberg almost cast her in Jurassic Park, but he ended up casting Ariana Richards instead. And I just think it's kind of funny that they ended up working with each other very soon after. Because I think Casper took like 2 years to do the CGI on it.
I believe that.
So they probably filmed it way earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Casper was her first leading role, and she was only 14. I thought she did a great job, too.
She did an amazing job. I just kept thinking that throughout the entire movie, what a good actress she is.
She was like the sassy, kind of emo teenager that I loved. That kind of character when I was little.
Mm-hmm. And they did such a good job making these kids little, don't you think?
Yeah.
Like, even though they're, like, Casper, I guess, is 12, and she's 14, but maybe she was playing younger. She might have been playing 12, I don't know. They just seemed so little to me. Like, I miss when we got to see, like, tweens just be awkward and small, you know?
And not like 25-year-olds in Euphoria playing high
Yes,
schoolers.
or like Riverdale. Like the difference is crazy. And I had to remind myself of that because it felt so weird and icky for them to be like have crushes on each other, because I was just like, oh my God, they're children and he's in love with her. But then I was just like, no, it's cute. It is cute because they are actually the age where you would be having crushes and you would be talking about that. We're just not used to seeing kids that little.
Yeah, that's definitely it. This is so cute. In 2018, Christina Ricci said that she showed her 3-year-old Freddie the movie Casper. And she said, quote, "He started asking me about my childhood with my best friend, the ghost. And we were like, oh, too soon."
Oh, that makes me want to cry. That's so cute.
For a while, he was asking me a lot about ghosts and living alone with my dad and being a ghost. And we were just like, oh no.
Oh, he took it as like mom's home movie.
I know.
That's so cute.
How weird would that be, though, as a 3-year-old to see? I don't know how I would comprehend my mom being in a movie anyway.
But when you're that little, you would have no explanation. So it makes
No.
sense. That's adorable.
Your friend, the ghost.
Yeah.
So cute. I was looking at her Instagram to see what she's been up to now. And really recently, she's promoting this tarot deck that she made with West Elm. And it's called Cat Full of Spiders. And every card on the tarot deck is basically her in one of her iconic roles. And it's inspired by her personal journey.
Cool. That's so cool.
Kind of unique, kind of random, too.
Very, but also fitting.
I think so for her.
Yeah, I love that.
She's kind of been typecast.
As the creepy girl.
Yeah, as the creepy girl, I feel like. And I think Jenna Ortega is also, because she's in a lot of scary movies. But I think they both own it and love it.
Yeah, they've leaned in, which I love.
Yeah, I love that too.
Okay, let's talk about Bill Pullman, who plays Dr. James Harvey, Kat's dad.
He's from Spaceballs, Sleepless in Seattle, While You Were Sleeping, Independence Day, ton of other things. I didn't know much about him, but he has a bachelor's and a master's in theater, and he was an adjunct professor at Montana State University before being a film actor, and then his students persuaded him to pursue film roles.
That's cool. I've never heard that story before.
Yeah, I think he was just like a theater guy. He just did a lot of theater and studied it, and then was a professor, and then his students were like, hey, you should try being in movies.
A professor at Montana State University, so not even like in LA.
No.
That's so cool.
His first film was Ruthless People, starring Danny DeVito and Bette Midler in 1986. And he's also been on Broadway, which goes with the whole theater thing. He's married to a modern dancer named Tamara Hurwitz, and they have 3 kids, Mesa, Jack, and Lewis. And Lewis is also an actor, and this blew my mind. He is Calvin from Lessons in Chemistry. Did you watch that?
I watched the very first episode, and then I couldn't anymore because it was sad. I'm looking him up, though.
He's the lead with Brie Larson.
Oh my gosh. Wow. Very cool.
Yeah. Bill Pullman said this about Casper. He said, "That was the one role I really remember looking forward to taking so that I could bring my kids to the set. They were right at the perfect age to enjoy all the magic of that."
Oh,
I thought that was sweet.
I love that.
And then in 2018, Montana State University, where he previously worked, gave him an honorary doctorate.
Wow.
And I think he got one from somewhere else, too. I can't remember where.
So cool.
Go, Bill.
Okay, and last but not least, let's touch on Malachi Pearson, who plays Casper.
I couldn't find much about him because he's really known mainly for Casper, and he was about 14 when he did this role. And I have no idea where he is now, but
Oh,
I thought he did a great job with the voice acting of this.
he did. He was so cute.
And we'll get into it later, but he is not the same boy that we see at the end.
That's what I was about to ask.
We'll get into it, but no spoilers, just in case somebody hasn't seen it in a while.
Okay, we'll get there. Should we get into the movie?
Yeah, let's do it.
So the movie starts on a windy, creepy night, and these 2 kids sneak into Whipstaff Manor, this huge, spooky mansion. You see the big gate outside, and they sneak in. It reminds me very much of the opening of Hocus Pocus.
Yes.
Like the creepy old house the kids are trying to sneak up to. The 2 kids are very scared, and they want to take a picture to prove to the other kids at school that they were there, but they end up fighting over who's going to be in the picture. And then a ghost shows up and says, "Guys, don't fight. I'll take the picture. Say cheese." And the ghost takes the picture, and the kids scream and run away. And we see the Polaroid developing on the ground because they ran away. And we can see that the ghost captured both of them screaming. It's pretty funny.
Then we cut to a law office in the daytime, and a lawyer is reading off someone's will. An impatient woman at the table cuts him off and asks what the old stiff left her. And this is Kerrigan Crittenden, played by Kathy Moriarty. We find out that her father left her nothing but Whipstaff Manor in Maine. She's furious that she's spent days in the hospital holding his clammy hand, and he only left her one lousy piece of property. The lawyer says, no, it was lousy 50 years ago. Now it's condemned.
So Kerrigan throws the folder with her father's will into the fireplace in the office, but her assistant Dibbs runs to dig the papers out of the fire before they burn completely, and one of the papers that fell out of the folder is a map. Words appear on the map that say, Buccaneers and buried gold, Whipstaff doth a treasure hold. And so Kerrigan is obviously suddenly interested again, since there might be treasure.
The words would have been written in lemon juice, I found out, and that's why they showed up when they were heated.
Oh, interesting.
I totally forgot about... Did you ever do that as a kid? Like use invisible ink with lemon juice and then use a hairdryer to get it to show up?
No, I didn't know that was a thing. I totally thought this was just supposed to be like some magic that they were doing in the movie, huh?
No magic, just lemon juice.
Fun.
So Kerrigan drags Dibbs to Maine to the manor to search for the treasure. But when they enter, the same ghost voice that we heard at the beginning of the movie says, hello? And they tell him to show himself, and he says he will if they don't scream. And then this cute little ghost slides down the stairwell banister and says, hi, I'm Casper. Kerrigan and Dibbs scream, and Casper tells them that they shouldn't do that. And their screams wake up 3 ghosts who scare them out of the manor.
The next day, Kerrigan and Dibbs hire a priest to perform an exorcism. And he walks up smoking a cigarette and has this huge cross around his neck. And he has this like kind of long, unkempt hair. And they ask if he has experience doing this. And he says, I've got quite a bit of experience. Not exactly doing it, but I've studied it. And I've talked to people who have done it.
That's so me.
I'm like, oh yeah,
I can do it.
He says, it's a piece of crumb cake. And then he goes into the mansion and comes back out moments later with his head turned the opposite way on his body. And he says, it was no problem, piece of cake. And then we cut to this Ghostbuster running out of the mansion too. It's Stance from the actual Ghostbusters, who's played by Dan Aykroyd. And Stance says, who you gonna call? Someone else, and runs away.
I loved that cameo.
Me too.
It's so
cute.
funny. We cut to a construction crew tearing down the mansion because Kerrigan wants to tear the place down to get her treasure. And all of a sudden, ghosts start cackling and the workers flee the mansion. And Casper sadly watches them leave and says, all I want is a friend.
Sad Casper.
So sad.
So then Casper watches Mr. Rogers alone, and he changes the channel to the news, and there's a story on Dr. James Harvey, a ghost therapist. On TV, Dr. Harvey says, they need help sometimes, just like the rest of us. And we learn that after Dr. Harvey's wife died, he left his conventional practice to become a ghost therapist. So he travels the country with his daughter, Kat, helping spirits resolve their unfinished business so they can move on. Casper sees Kat getting interviewed on screen, and she doesn't want anything to do with the interview, so we're just like watching her be this like kind of sassy tween, and Casper immediately is smitten.
He gets an idea and goes through a cable into Kerrigan's TV in her hotel to play the news segment on Dr. Harvey. And it works. Kerrigan notices, and she hires Dr. Harvey to deal with the ghosts in Whipstaff Manor.
Then Dr. Harvey and Kat are driving in the car on their way to Whipstaff Manor, and Kat is frustrated because her dad's ghost-chasing lifestyle has forced them to move constantly, and she just wants to be in one place long enough to make a friend. Dr. Harvey says she sounds like her mother, and Kat says, Mom's not a ghost, Dad. And he says, yes, she is. She has unfinished business. I just can't find her. And Kat says, there's no such thing as ghosts. He promises her that if she goes with him this one last time and he doesn't find what he's looking for, then they can stop this. This was sad, just seeing that her dad is so hung up on her mom that he can't give it up.
I know. Once Kat and her dad move into the mansion, Casper tries to figure out how to get Kat's attention in the least spooky way possible. Kat is really brave and she's not scared at all of this mansion. She goes straight upstairs to find a room to sleep in. And when she opens the door to one room, she sees 3 beds that each say Stretch, Fatso, and Stinky. She chooses a different room, and while she gets settled, Casper whispers, there's a girl on my bed. Yes.
Casper tries to get Kat's attention by helping her unpack and turning into a pillow when she lays down, but she doesn't notice him until she throws a sock, and it hits him in the mouth and he spits it back out at her. And then he nervously says, "Hi," and she faints. And so Casper pours water on her and asks if she feels better, and she wakes up, screams, and tells her dad right away. Her dad reminds her that ghosts can't hurt her, and they just have unfinished business. And then he comes to check on her room for a ghost for her, and he opens the door and Casper is on the other side, saying, "Pleasure to meet you, sir." And Dr. Harvey screams, is even more freaked out than Kat, and then he picks Kat up and puts her in a closet to hide.
It leads me to believe that he actually doesn't believe in ghosts somehow.
Yeah, for him to be this freaked out and not intrigued at all.
But obviously he believes in them enough because he's searching for his wife, so I don't know. Then 3 ghosts appear at the mansion. These are Casper's uncles, Stretch, Stinky, and Fatso. They're troublemakers and they delight in scaring people. They get extra excited when they hear Dr. Harvey in the house. They spook him and he passes out. Then they jump inside his mouth, and Dr. Harvey wakes up and washes his mouth out in the bathroom. And then when he looks in the mirror, he morphs into Clint Eastwood, and then Rodney Dangerfield, and then Mel Gibson, and then this zombie monster thing. He screams and he runs out of the bathroom. I loved all the cameos in this scene, but apparently Steven Spielberg was supposed to be one of the cameos, and it was cut for pacing. I actually think they might have enticed some of the other actors to be in this scene because they said Spielberg was also going to be in it.
Mm-hmm.
But he was relieved because he was nervous in front of the camera, so he was glad to be cut.
Dang, I would have loved to see him in this.
I know.
So the uncles continue to mess with Dr. Harvey, and he fights them with a toilet plunger and then sucks them up with a vacuum.
I saw this quote where Bill Pullman said this was the hardest physical scene because he was doing it backwards up a staircase, fighting 3 people who weren't there.
Yeah, I believe that.
And he was like, I know that's kind of silly because I was fighting them with a toilet plunger, but yeah.
Then Casper lets Kat out of the closet and she lands on top of him and then screams and gets off of him right away. After her dad's success with the uncles, Kat hunts for Casper with the portable vacuum. And when she finds him, he promises he's a friendly ghost. Casper is determined to make her feel comfortable, so he cooks her breakfast by using his ghost powers. It's very cute.
Mm-hmm.
And you can tell Kat's impressed. And then Kat puts her hand up to his and thinks it's cool that she can put her hand through his hand. And then Dr. Harvey comes in and asks if she's okay. When she nods, he sits down with her at the table and Casper serves them both pancakes.
I love that he comes in kind of freaked out and then he notices what Casper's doing and then he just has to be like, okay, Kat, you good? This is good? Okay, then I'm in.
Yeah.
It's sweet. The uncles escape from the vacuum and they start their antics again, and they bully Casper for not serving them first before the fleshies. That's what they call humans. Then the uncles start eating a ton of candy and desserts, and Kat starts to stand up for Casper, and she gets in this insult fight with the uncles where they're just going back and forth, and she really is not holding back. She's not scared at all.
Mm-mm.
And Dr. Harvey guides her out of the kitchen before it escalates any further. And then he tries to start things off on the right foot with the uncles, but they just throw food at him. He's trying to be a therapist to them, and they're like, no.
They're not interested. Kat goes to her new school and meets a nice boy her age named Vic. And while she's getting introduced to her class, which is full of snarky mean kids, she notices that on a poster of Mount Rushmore, one of the heads is Casper's. So he came to school with her. While she introduces herself, Casper ties everyone's shoes together, and then everyone goes silent when she says that she lives at Whipstaff. Since the Halloween dance is being postponed while the gym is closed for asbestos removal, everyone votes to move the Halloween party to Whipstaff because it's a creepy house with room to spare. And when the bell rings, all the students trip on their shoes and fall because Casper had tied their laces together.
I thought it was really weird that they were like, oh, you live at a haunted mansion? Okay, we're going to do the party at your house.
I know.
The uncles then see a photo of Dr. Harvey's deceased wife, Amelia, and they say she's a peach and everyone knows her. Dr. Harvey asks if they could help him find her, and they say it's a deal if he gets Kerrigan off their backs. But then when they bring Amelia to him, it's actually Fatso wearing a dress and makeup.
Wham wham. I was very hopeful for a minute.
Me too. Sad.
Vic, the boy that was nice at school, shows up at the mansion and asks Kat if she asked her dad about the Halloween dance yet. And he also asks if she'll hang out with him at the party. She says yes, and then we see that the mean girl, Amber, who was making fun of Kat earlier at school, is waiting for him behind a tree, and when he's done talking to Kat, she says, she actually believed you, and we find out that this was her plan.
Casper is super jealous of Vic, and he tries to show off for Kat. He takes her on top of a lighthouse, and they have this really sweet moment where he tells her that he doesn't really remember what it was like to be alive at all. He doesn't remember his mom or his dad or anything, and she feels really sorry for him. Then back in Kat's room, Kat tells Casper how much she misses her mom. She asks, if my mom's a ghost, did she forget about me? And Casper says no, she'd never forget about you. Then he asks if he were alive, if she'd go to the Halloween dance with him. And then he says, can I keep you? Which I think is the weirdest quote of this entire movie.
I don't like it, and it comes back.
I don't really get it.
I don't really get it either.
Can I keep you? What?
Ooh.
And then he kisses her on the cheek, but she doesn't really hear any of it and is falling asleep. And Casper sleeps at the foot of her bed like a cat, which I kind of thought was cute.
That is cute. It is this weird dynamic of like these two tweens kind of love each other and they sleep in the same bed at night, and he's like kissing her and saying he wants to keep her, but I don't actually think she's interested, and he's a ghost.
Yeah.
But they navigated it very well because it's mostly just really cute.
Yeah, it's not creepy.
Mm-mm. The next day, Kat asks if she can use her dad's visa to buy a costume this year because she wants to look date nice for the dance. And Dr. Harvey starts to try to have the talk with her, and she says, it's too late for that, Dad. And he says, how late? And she says, don't worry, not that late. And you can tell he's relieved, and this is just such a cute dad-daughter moment. And then Dr. Harvey says that he would love to, but he can't buy her anything until Kerrigan pays him. So after that, Kat finds boxes in the attic full of Casper's old toys and things, and Kat surprises Casper by setting them all up for him. And this is where he starts to remember his life. In the attic, she finds one of Casper's mom's dresses and asks if she can wear it to the party. Casper tells her about his memories of getting sick and his dad getting sad, and him staying behind as a ghost so that his dad wouldn't be lonely.
So sad.
Kat discovers an article among the boxes that says that Casper's dad was a brilliant inventor who built a machine called the Lazarus, which he made to try to bring his son back to life.
I think it's kind of interesting that this movie isn't about Casper figuring out his unfinished business and moving on.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's because it would be too sad for us to like see him leave.
Probably, because I thought that's what was going to happen at the end.
Yeah.
We'll get to this, but
no, they're just like, who cares about Casper's unfinished business? He can be a lonely kid for forever.
Yeah.
Sad, though. Kerrigan and Dibbs are sneaking around the mansion to check Dr. Harvey's progress getting rid of the ghosts. And Casper shows Kat his dad's secret lab under the house, and Kerrigan and Dibbs follow them into it, and they discover a locked vault that they believe has the treasure in it. In the lab, Kat opens a dusty copy of Frankenstein to find a button inside. And when she presses it, this big chamber appears, and she finds this potion or formula or something that brings ghosts back to life, but there's just enough for one. Casper puts it into the chamber door, and then he gets inside so that he can come back from being a ghost. But a hand reaches out and steals the potion during the process. And Casper doesn't end up turning back into a living being. He's just this like blob with eyes on the floor.
He looks like a little cracked egg.
Yeah, he does.
Then we cut to Kerrigan, who stole the potion, and their plan is to get into the vault by having one of them turn into the ghost. But they'll use the potion to turn that person back. So this is like wild to me. The fact that Kerrigan is like, hell yeah, we got the potion. Let's kill one of us so that we can sneak into the vault and then we'll just reverse it. Very casually.
I feel like a better method would be try to get the code or something from Casper. Is there a key somewhere?
Right.
Or bully Casper into getting through there and coming back out.
Right.
You know?
Yes, there's other options.
Other options. But no, they're like, let's one of us die, become a ghost, then come back.
And then we're going to use this contraption that we think maybe works.
Yeah.
To turn one of us back anyway.
It's a lot of trust.
Wild. So Kerrigan tries to kill Dibbs to try out this plan, and he hides from her. And they end up having this Tom and Jerry-like scene where she's chasing him outside. And then in a freak accident, Kerrigan ends up getting out of her car and falling off a cliff. But she comes right back as a ghost.
A wild scene. Then the uncles take Dr. Harvey out and he gets drunk, and they plan on killing him to make themselves a quartet. Because I think they really like him, honestly.
This actually was really cute. They're like, we're ready to make this trio a quartet because they love him.
It's cute. But then they have a change of heart and they start sobbing after Harvey declares that he'll tell Kerrigan off so that they can stay in their home. And then Harvey opens the doors to the bar and he accidentally falls to his death in a construction site. Terrible.
Terrible. How many freak accidents could there be?
Yeah, did they set up the construction site?
I don't think so.
Something? Oh, no? Okay. I was like, maybe they set that up for him and then... But I think they were too surprised. They weren't like, no, don't go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Then the ghost of Kerrigan goes back to the lab and steals the treasure from the vault. And Dibs brings her the potion, but Casper gets it from him, and he and Kat go back up to the main house with it. But then the doorbell rings, and it's everybody there for the Halloween dance, including Kat's teacher. Vic and Amber, the mean girl, sneak in through a window and are planning a prank. Then Kat invites everyone in and then runs to take care of the problem at hand. I forgot that all these kids were about to come over until the doorbell rang.
I know. Wild. I love that the teacher was there too.
Mm-hmm.
Then back in the lab, Kat puts the potion in the machine, but Kerrigan pops out. She orders Dibs to start things up for her to turn her back into a human, but he turns on her to steal the treasure for himself. He takes the potion out of the machine, and Kerrigan punts him out of the lab and steals it, and we never see him again. He just punts him.
Mm-hmm.
Casper and Kat trick Kerrigan, and they ask about her unfinished business that will stop her from crossing over with the machine, and she admits that she has her treasure and has no unfinished business left on Earth, and admitting that makes her cross over into the afterlife.
Then the treasure opens, and it's Casper's signed baseball and a mitt. Kat tells Casper it's time for him to become human, but just as she's about to start the machine for him, Casper's uncles bring the ghost of her dad to her. And he loves being a ghost, and they love having a quartet. They're like the happiest little bunch. But Dr. Harvey doesn't remember Kat. So then Kat makes him pinky promise her, which is a thing that they used to do, and that helps him remember. Kat starts to cry, and Casper says, "Come on, Dr. Harvey, you need this more than I do." And he helps Dr. Harvey get into the chamber, and then he comes back out as his human self, and he and Kat hug.
Then they all go upstairs to the Halloween party. Casper feels down because he can't attend the dance as a real boy and be Kat's date. Meanwhile, Amber and Vic are dressed up as one big ghost, and they end up getting scared out of the party by the uncles before they can scare everyone like they were planning, which is kind of funny.
And then something magical happens. Kat's mom, Amelia, shows up while Casper is hiding out from the party, and she's glowing, and she doesn't look like the ghosts. She's like her human body self, but she's glowing like an angel. And she thanks Casper for what he did and gives him his one wish just for the night.
At the dance, Kat is bummed about Vic, and then a blonde boy enters the party and starts dancing with Kat. He leads her onto the dance floor. She has no idea that this is actually Casper in human form, but they're levitating while they dance, and she notices and freaks out. And then he says, "Told you I was a good dancer. Can I keep you?" It came back.
I didn't like it that time either.
No. Kat realizes who he is and hugs him. That part's very cute.
And he's very cute.
I know. Like I said earlier, it wasn't Malachi Pearson who did the voice of Casper who played his human form. It was actually Devon Sawa. And I think it's kind of weird because I looked them both up. Both he and the voice actor looked similar. Malachi Pearson was a 14-year-old boy with blonde hair.
Huh. And they had a similar enough voice because I didn't notice that it was different.
And there was only that one human line. So I'm like, why didn't they just keep Malachi for that?
It's kind of weird.
I was going to say maybe Malachi did the voice afterwards because they had to do the CGI, but that's not how it works. Because I think they used his expressions and stuff to help inform what Casper looked like and did. Anyway, I don't get it, but in the original script, apparently Casper doesn't even turn into a human, and the new ending is the part that J.J. Abrams is said to have written. So Devon Sawa said, "The ending was approved and a nationwide casting call was launched. I sent a VHS tape down to casting directors and a week later booked the role of Casper. I've been working ever since. Thanks, JJ."
I'm just more confused by this because if there was a nationwide casting call, why would they do a nationwide casting call if they already had...
They have the actor. He's a blonde 14-year-old. Maybe because he was 14, maybe he looked too old at the time.
Maybe
Devin was younger or looked younger. I don't know.
Look up Devin Sawa. Do we know him?
He's in some stuff.
No. Or like I don't recognize him today.
I didn't either, but he's been in like a lot of stuff here and there, I would say.
Cool.
Devin did play love interests again with Christina Ricci in the movie Now and Then, which came out the same year as Casper.
Oh, wow.
And she was the reason why he got that part, because I think she recommended him.
Cool.
Yeah.
Oh, I wonder if they had real life little crushes on each other.
I want to say that I read something where everyone on set was saying that all the girls were trying to win Devin's affection.
He's cute.
Yeah, he was cute, and they were all young and cute, and they said that Christina Ricci won.
Of course, she's the star. Dr. Harvey watches Kat and Casper dancing and then turns around to see Amelia. Finally. She tells him he knows 3 crazy ghosts who kept their word. So the uncles found her.
Yay.
She says that she has no unfinished business and please not to let her be his. She tells him Kat is growing up beautifully because of him, and then she gives him some advice, like, French fries are not a breakfast food. And then she caresses his face and they share this very sweet moment. And for anybody out there that watches Private Practice or is like a big Grey's Anatomy universe fan, the woman that plays Amelia is in Private Practice. I can't remember the actress's name, but I recognized her from that.
Oh, I didn't know that. Then the clock strikes 10 and Amelia has to leave. She says to go where she can watch over both Kat and Harvey until they can be together again. Casper kisses Kat and then turns back into his ghost self. And then he laughs nervously because he's in front of all of the kids and they're all frozen, just staring at what just happened. And then he says, "Boo?" And they all scream and they flee from the mansion. So then all who's left in the mansion are the uncles and Casper and Kat and Harvey. And the uncles play instruments while the others all dance together. And that's the end.
Yay. So cute.
It was a very wholesome, fun Halloween watch. It's perfect for our right before Halloween episode. So right after this movie came out, there was a 1996 cartoon TV series called The Spooktacular New Adventures of Casper. And the ghosts were voiced by the same actors in the film. So Casper and his uncles were all the same. Have you seen it? I don't remember if I watched it as a kid.
No, I don't think I ever have.
And then there were 2 direct-to-video follow-ups to the movie. There was this indirect prequel called Casper, A Spirited Beginning in 1997. And then what we talked about earlier, there was a spin-off prequel, Casper Meets Wendy, in 1998 that starred Hilary Duff in her first major film.
That was her first movie?
And she was so baby in it.
Oh, that makes me really want to watch that one now.
I know, we have to do that one next year, I think. Then there was supposed to be a Casper 2 about 5-ish years after the first movie, but it was canceled due to disappointing sales from the direct-to-video movies, and Christina Ricci was kind of hesitant to do another one. So it never happened.
Bummer.
And I have no idea if anything is happening with this, but in 2022, a live-action series was reported to be in development with Peacock.
Cool.
So we'll see about that.
Okay, that would be fun.
I feel like every one of these episodes that we do, I'm like, and there's going to be a sequel.
That's true. That's so true. Over the last couple of years, I feel like every studio has just said, like, what are our biggest hits? Let's revamp it.
Yep.
And then we'll see what actually comes out.
I'm okay with it.
Yeah, me
I'm
too.
excited for a bunch of them.
So this was the last of our October spooky episodes. I hope you guys have the best Halloween. And we have a very exciting episode coming up next week.
Yes.
Because we have some personal news. I have some personal news that we're going to talk about. And we're also talking about a really fun show that some of you guys have requested that's been really big all over social media recently. So I think you guys will love it. And even if you haven't seen the show, tune in to at least the first 5 minutes of the episode. Okay?
Hint, hint, wink, wink. Well, thank you guys so much for listening to this episode and for listening to all of our Halloween episodes. This is our favorite month of the podcast. It was so much fun.
And we'll talk to you next week.
Bye.